The drama and some ludicrous showmanship on Capitol Hill has reached a whole new level. Exhibit 1, Speaker Mike Johnson versus Marjorie Taylor Greene. The fight is over foreign aid funding, and he's willing to put his job on the line to get it.
I regard myself as a Reagan Republican. I understand the concept of maintaining peace through strength. That's one of our guiding principles. It's a really important philosophy, and it's a big part of our party and our worldview. And I think here is an opportunity to make that stand at a really critical time in world history.
Exhibit 2. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who wants Johnson out as a result of what he just said, in spite of the fact that only one other House member right now supports his ouster. And 3. This volatile exchange between James Comer, whose investigation into alleged wrongdoing by Joe Biden has produced nothing, and Jamie Raskin.
What is the crime that you want to impeach Joe Biden for and keep this nonsense going?
Well,
why? What is the crime? Tell America right now.
You're about to find out.
What is the crime?
You're about to find out.
Name it.
NBC's Julie Sirkin is on Capitol Hill. Brendan Buck is a former aide to Speakers Paul Ryan and John Boehner and an MSNBC political analyst. So, Julie, I understand the drama and infighting has boiled over on the House floor, one lawmaker threatening Speaker Johnson directly. But serious stuff needs to get done. So give us a lay of the land right now.
So this is what happened, Chris. I actually just got off the phone with Congressman Derek Van Orden, who members of the House Freedom Caucus, when they came off the floor after huddling with Speaker Johnson in that tense group that you described, said that he threatened Johnson, calling him Tubby. Well, actually, Van Orden told me literally moments ago that he was referring his comments to Matt Gaetz. He was telling the hardliners to bring it on facetiously, meaning the motion to vacate, because he is tired, he said, of the, quote, cancer that has been spreading among the Republican Party in the House here. All of this, of course, happening in the context of the foreign aid funding fight, right? Johnson right now is trying to pass separate bills to fund Ukraine, to fund Israel, the Indo-Pacific as well. The group of hardliners this morning were trying to pressure Johnson, I'm told, to only put aid to Israel on the floor unless the Senate takes up their conservative border bill known as H.R. 2, which they all have known for months that Democratic-run Senate will simply not do. Johnson said he's not going to hold a Ukraine aid hostage over that because he realizes this is a national security priority. Ukraine will lose the war, Johnson told reporters yesterday, if they don't receive this lethal assistance from the U.S. So Johnson now, of course, faces a fight to lose his speakership gavel on one hand and another to do what's right. He told lawmakers on the floor as well as reporters yesterday that he doesn't care about losing his speakership. He wants to do what's right when it comes to Ukraine aid. They're going to move forward with these bills. By all accounts, of course, they are still held up in the Rules Committee. But all in all here, just a lot of Republican infighting that really has started with Kevin McCarthy and his ouster in the fall and just is perpetuating here on the House floor, really preventing the House from being able to do anything that they're supposed to do, Chris.
I mean, Brendan, when Speaker Johnson says Ukraine aid is critically important for U.S. national security, big picture, there really isn't a lot of daylight, is there, between him and Joe Biden on that, or for that matter, much of the Republican Party. So what's going on?
Yeah, he's gone all in on this, and I think it's actually really remarkable. I mean, it was only months ago that he was openly questioning whether the United States needed to support Ukraine at all. And I think what the change has been is the world looks very different when you're sitting in the Speaker's office. The stakes are much higher, but also you realize that the weight of what potentially could happen is on your shoulders in some ways. The other day, he referred to himself as a wartime speaker. I think that betrayed maybe a dash of self-importance, but I think it speaks to the clarity with which he's looking at this situation now. This is no longer petty political politics that most of the members there play all day. He realizes that he has a job to do. And I think he's getting some really good counsel that if you just do the things that you know are the right thing to do, the politics are probably going to work out for you in the end. And I think he's going to be able to move this through, and he's going to be able to survive it.
Is that what our lesson is of the last year, that it'll work out?
I think it can. I think it will show that if you do the things that you think are right, you're going to survive. And I think he's going to survive this. I think Democrats are going to be there in large numbers, or whatever necessary numbers are. Let's remember, it is still very unpopular to remove the speaker. While Matt Gaetz got away with it last time and Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking about it this time, that incident on the floor demonstrates the vast majority of this conference don't want to play games like that. They want a speaker who leads them, and that's the ultimate irony. They want to be told what to do. They want to have a game plan and a call and see that you have some passion behind what you're doing. And I think he's starting to show that. And I think he's probably gaining a lot of respect. And the lashing out you're seeing from people like Matt Gaetz is because they realize their authority or their ability, their leverage on the speaker is being taken away if things play out the way that I think they will.
Brendan Buck and Julie Sirkin, thank you.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.